Hey guys, it's Friday and it's video response week, so here we go. I'm going to be Debbie Downer, haha, and talk about death. Woohoo! I saw a video, it's been a little while now, like a month maybe ago, that Cassie, I don't remember her whole name, but Cassie somebody did on death. And Cassie, I thought just the whole idea of just like, hey, let's just talk frankly about death is awesome because I'm a nurse and so I deal with death on a regular basis. I think about death fairly often. We're all gonna die. People always die. And I think when you start talking about death, you really start getting into like, I don't know, stuff that like really matters. So you said that you are like not very religious, not necessarily atheist, just kind of like, whatever, I don't really care. I'm the opposite. I am religious. I feel pretty strongly about that. Death is hard to talk about because it's like, it's so controversial. It's like, there's a lot of things I could say. They're just like, ooh, bam. Sorry, I have a runny nose. Out there. Talk about being self-centered and it'll be so boring to be dead. Totally agree with that. Growing up, as a kid, you're always like, I don't want to go to heaven. What am I going to do all the time? Once you get older and you realize that heaven is basically the world restored. It's not a heaven up in the clouds. It's a new heaven and a new earth. And so everything is made new. Everything is made to what it was meant to be, which is really, really exciting. It's something that once you understand that concept of the fact that, you know, we're living in a broken world and this shadow world, C.S. Lewis talks about that a lot, about how we're in this shadowlands. And once we finally do have the new heavens and the new earth, whether it's because we died and we won't go into how or when or what happens to get to the new heavens and new earth, or when Jesus returns, whatever, eventually there will be a new heaven and a new earth, and people will be there. I say people because I also don't really want to get into the heaven-hell debate right now. I believe everybody has an eternal soul and that everybody does spend their rest of eternity somewhere, and you either spend the rest of eternity with God or without God. But yeah, getting back to that state of things being the way that they were meant to be. You know, when it's like there's things in life that you're just like, this isn't right, this isn't fair, this is frustrating, this is broken, those will be fixed. Hurricanes and you know, destruction and death of, you know, people en masse like that, like all of that's broken. You know, ways people have been wrong, like all that stuff gets made right. And it's like this, there's a beauty in that, and it's kind of, it's hard to explain. It has a lot to do with the fact that it's like justice and grace at the same time, and it's like the thing that gets me most excited if I were to sit and just talk about it, because it's such an amazing concept that like those things can both happen at the same time, that we can cry out for justice and you can cry out for grace and mercy at the same time, and that both of them get answered. And that's basically what afterlife is to me, is the ultimate, that finally being answered. It's also the ultimate wedding. It's the ultimate story. It's the ultimate, now life can finally begin. Now we can finally really be in the presence of God and not have to be stuck with these earthly bodies that fall apart. And it sucks because people, you know, their brains go out and their hearts go out and they get cancer and sucky places and people are in car accidents and whatever it is, like all the ways that things fail, like, don't happen anymore. And heaven, I used to think would be really boring. She's like, what are you gonna do? Like, sit around and sing all the time? Well, no, thank you. But no, it's like everything that you enjoy doing, except without any of the sin and the brokenness, because we're finally removed from that. So I like to think of heaven as summer camp. This is not necessarily theologically grounded, but it's like, oh, I'm going to go hiking today, or I'm going to go to art class, or I'm going to go learn about, I mean, if you're geeky and nerdy and you want to learn about something new, like, you could go learn about it, or you could just be like, whatever, I'm going to go have my jam session with my music buddies, or I'm going to have nap time. I don't know. I mean, I think that you probably still sleep, maybe. But, I mean, ultimately, anything that gives glory to God is going to be there. I mean, mainly it's about glorifying. I mean, I don't know. How you can't understand, like, the state of non-existence. It's the same for me. Like, I can't understand the state of, one, being, like, outside of time, like, eternity. Like, what the crap? No. And two, the state of being away from sin and, like, being in the presence of God is just, like, yeah, I mean, there's no way to even begin to understand or comprehend what that's going to be like. So, but I know it'll be awesome. So, great. We talked about standing at the door saying, did you do good things or did you do bad things? Which I think when you truly understand the gospel, you realize just how wrong that is, because, like, we're all screwed up. None of us deserve to be on the good person list, and that's kind of the point to me about life, is that if that was the way it went, then we would all spend eternity away from God, separated from God, because that's what we've chosen. Like, that's where we are without grace. And then anybody can receive grace, and it doesn't matter what you have done or what you know, what you're going to do in the future. It doesn't matter, because we receive grace. And instead of wearing yourself, you get to wear Jesus. And that's who God sees, and that's what God sees, and that's why you get into heaven. Also, you talk about how you think reincarnation would be the best option. And as you might have figured out, I would kind of disagree with you on there. But I disagree because the idea of being reincarnated and, like, okay, you get to do life over again. But no matter how many times you do life over again, it's never going to be what you really want. It's never going to be what you really have hoped for, because it's still going to be in the broken world and the Shadowlands instead of the new heavens and the new earth. I'll close with just, a couple of things. One, C.S. Lewis has, several books where he talks just really profoundly, to me, about the idea of the afterlife. One is called The Great Divorce, which is a really good read. It's very short. You could read it in just like a couple hours, one sitting type thing, which, if you're interested in kind of like what's a Christian perspective of death and heaven and hell, I think it's a pretty interesting one. And two, C.S. Lewis, I guess it's in the last battle of the Chronicles of Narnia series. The new Narnia, it's what's basically Narnia heaven, and they see their favorite mountainscape, but it's like so much richer and more beautiful than it was before. They see everything they have, and things that the Bible talks about, like, they run without growing weary. But the idea of, like, the things that you really love in this world are just a shadow. It's just this murky image, and one day you'd see the real thing. And then at the end of the Chronicles of Narnia, it said, then they started chapter 1. The rest has just been, the title page. All of this that's come before has been nothing compared to what the story that's about to start now. That's probably it. I'll see everybody else next week. I guess we're going to talk about maybe Thanksgiving traditions. Oh my gosh, Thanksgiving is in a week. What? On the positive side, I can listen to Christmas music in a week. Yay! I'm going to have to edit this. I didn't want to have to do that. Tired rambling for the win. I really wanted to try to do this in one shot too, but oh well.